does all of your time run off to? Last week, we talked about valuing our time in terms of money and life relative to the activities we choose to engage in during our waking hours. Let's do a quick review of those areas again, and then let's lay out a plan to track our time for 1 week so that we have a real sense of where we are choosing to spend our time. Until you have a time value baseline, it will be hard to have a real sense for how you're setting up your life relative to time and what you may want to change to make it better. Here's a quick review of the money and life dimensions of time value with some examples. Remember that we laid out these dimensions in a quadrant of high and low value on both dimensions of money and life. In the high life, low money value portion of the quadrant, we saw things like relationships and eating well, etc. In the low life, low money portion of the quadrant, we saw things like accounting and bookkeeping and chores. On the low life, high money value portion of the quadrant were things like sales or your job. And in the high life, high money value portion of the quadrant, we see things of what this blog is all about, is living your true soul purpose and getting paid well to do it. That's the bullseye, I said. And that's where we need to focus. So, and then in the lower left-hand quadrant, we had the negative value sides of these dimensions, or what I call the life and money time wasteland, were things like escapisms and addictions, etc. Okay, so how do you create a time value baseline? You do it by recording your waking time in 15-minute increments and assigning that time to one of these 5 areas. Number 1, high life, low money. Number 2, low life, low money. Number 3, low life, high money. Number 4, high life, high money. And number 5, negative value. Depending on how your brain likes to organize information, there are a couple different approaches to tracking this data for a week. Number 1, calendar time blocks. If you're like me, you plan your calendar down to the 15-minute increments, and you can use a paper calendar, Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, whatever is best for you. See the example here on the slide, but you could also use colors to make it fun. The pro of using calendar time blocks is that it's easy to ensure that you've accounted for all your waking time. The con of using calendar time blocks is that it's a little harder to add up at the end of the week. The second way you could track your time is through a tabular list. See the example here on the slide. The pro of using a tabular list is that it's easy to come up with your category totals at the end of the week. Of course, the con of using a tabular list is that you may miss some time blocks in your day. So choose what's best for you. There's probably another way that I haven't thought of yet to do it, but these are the 2 most obvious. The main point here is that you classify your time spent for a week. At the end of the week, there's a little math to take care of. Number 1, add up all the time for each category. Number 2, calculate the total time spent for the week. And number 3, compute the percent of time spent in each category. Here's an example. Let's assume you sleep 8 hours a night and have 16 waking hours a day, or 112 waking hours in a week. You spend 12 hours or 10% of your week enjoying your relationships and other activities that have high life value to you. You spend 20 hours or 18% of your week doing things that you need to delegate to somebody else because those activities bring you very little life or money value. You spend 20 hours or 18% of your week doing things that make you money, but you don't really love doing them. And you spend 20 hours or 18% of your week living your purpose and getting paid well to do it. But where's the other 40%? Oh my gosh, or 36%. It's down in the wasteland. You're wasting your life away. So whatever your numbers are, it doesn't matter at this point. The important point is establishing a baseline. So get that baseline set, let it soak in, and we'll be back next week to talk about whether you like the picture that you see of your baseline or whether or not you want to make it better. Have a great week.